Hey everyone, it's Path. Today we're going to talk about investment in general and collecting. We are a little bit more focused on the idea of collecting for the purpose of investment in Pokemon Silk product. So that's what I'm going to stick to. I'm not going to pretend that I don't pay attention to this and I don't care about this. But I'm going to start by talking about this Paldean Fates Pokemon Center ETB. And you can see that there are 16 quantity here. That's what I'm left with. I got all this way back on last year from November and December when it was still freely available in Pokemon Center Singapore, and we can just order as much as we want to until the stock goes out. So you can see here I actually started at the beginning. I'm not very sure about Pokemon Center ETB because back in November last year, if you can imagine, actually, there's not so many people talking about Pokemon Center as a really precious collectible at that time. And in fact, not many people are actually keeping them in bulk. But because in Pokemon Center in Singapore, this is the only thing that's available. I think together with maybe the UPC, 151 UPC, probably still available in November, which is why I got 2 of them, which went out of stock very quickly. But Paldean Fates PCTB was the one thing that was available in Pokemon Center in Singapore, so I just grabbed them by a large quantity at that time. But very soon, I think very quickly, maybe 1 or 2 weeks after that, then it was gone out of stock and they rarely come back into stock again. And even if they do, I'm pretty sure the bot will have swept them out. And that was also before they removed the shrink if you buy them, whether it's online or in the shop. So what happened was, after that I started selling off some of them when the price was pretty much doubled from whatever I paid them. So I sold 4 of them and 1 more and 4 more, and most recently I sold 1 more, and you can see there's a really big price jump. The last one I sold was 411 USD. In Singapore dollar is more than $500. And then you were thinking, how come there's such a big price jump? So if you look at the chart, last year November is still pretty much $80 to $90. This is a combination of eBay and TCG player. But from about April onwards to May, and you can see there's a huge and very quick jump in July from 200 jumps to about 400 to 500 USD. Right now it seems to settle a little bit around this range, $480 to $500, probably consolidating, and many people would have seen the price jump, and this is basically like 5 times of MSRP. So I paid close to $80 per, and if you sell it at 400, it's basically 5 times, 5x at 400% gain in terms of profit. And the one that I sold was not even perfect. I actually picked the one with damage, and this is why I sold this probably, I would say, 10% below market. Or if I have sold one with a perfect shrink and no damage to the box at all, I'm pretty sure I can get another $50, $100 more. Maybe 50, 100 is a little bit stretching it. I think $50 is not too far-fetched. So I sold the damage box and it was still going for 411 USD. So in Singapore, typically I sold this in Facebook Marketplace. I think 20% below market is pretty standard, and I don't mind selling slightly under market, especially because I know I got them for $80 USD just less than 1 year ago. So I want to talk about this because when I sold this, I was thinking, do I regret selling all this half a year earlier and miss out on all these gains? Honestly, I don't really mind because, like I said, when I sold this, I was already almost doubled whatever I paid for. And at that time, I really wanted to remove, reduce some of the space that's taken up by all this ETB. It actually takes up quite a big space, right? And I was keeping a lot of booster boxes as well. And in terms of storage, booster box is a lot easier. But also, I think the one reason is also I got bored and I wanted to try out selling. And in fact, this is probably one of the first few things I sold. This is one of the few things that I actually started selling first because I wanted to, reduce my position in this. And also this is really taking quite a bit of space. So I sold some of them. And recently, when I see that there's a big price jump, I sold it at pretty much at a peak, 24th September, pretty much right around here, and then it started dropping a little bit over here. So I thought, and I see there are people who are, you know, moving some of these boxes, 1 or 2 boxes, so I wanted to try it as well, especially one of the damage box. So it actually was sold pretty quickly, and you can see my average cost is down to $4 at the moment. If I sell another one, the 15 boxes left is pretty much, you know, free, because I would have, you know, recouped all the costs that I spent buying them. So what I actually wanted to talk about is, if you're thinking about investing, you really do have to think about it in a more long-term approach, because if I have sold all of this when they double or triple even, back here or even back here, I would have missed out on quite a bit of gain. And you see, even though I only have 16 left, but it is honestly still a pretty good amount. I'm not sure whether it will continue to go up or it will continue to stay this way, flat line for a long time, who knows. But we all know that with time, these products just get less and less on the market, and I'm not surprised that it will slowly creep up bit by bit. And if I do not need the cash, I really do not need to sell them. Right, that's one thing I want to talk about, is that investment, honestly, especially if you're thinking about holding it long term, it is very boring. There's not much action, and if you're looking for action, then unfortunately this is probably not very suitable to you, because your hand is going to get itchy. You're going to be very tempted to sell them to, you know, get in some profit, and then you're going to end up losing a lot of the gain. And the other thing I did was I sold a case of the Temporal Forces. So you see, I used to have 7 cases. I sold 1. Again, I sold pretty much very much under the market value. But the interesting thing is also, when I sold this, it's close to 200 USD. And just a month ago, when I actually posted as a for sale, and even when I was trying to sell this at 180, again, I wanted to test the market because I have quite a bit. And Temporal Forces, even though, you know, all these sealed cases are quite valuable right now, but honestly, this is not one of the best. It's probably one of the worst in the whole Scarlet and Violet series. You may disagree with me, but the truth is, if you look at the cards inside, they are not as exciting as the other expansion or the sets in the era. So I wanted to also reduce some of my position in this, and the fact is that I got them at 106 USD, 107. So this is pretty much almost doubled, and I also wanted to just see whether it will actually sell, and it does sell. So after I sold this, I actually bought a few of the Battle Style booster box. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I thought Battle Styles may be one of the box that is a little bit undervalued at the moment among all the craziness. Although we see a little bit of jump here, but as compared to the other Sword and Shield boxes with alt art, this box is honestly quite a little bit undervalued. So yeah, I bought a few of them at pretty close to market price, and we'll see what happened to it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is recently, especially after Destined Rival, it is not easy to get prices, booster boxes at a good price. And Destined Rival, even though we are expecting restock, I think in Singapore or in the US, actually they have the restock, and in fact there are some people who actually parallel import from the US to Singapore. But in Singapore, Maxoff and the distributor in Singapore, they didn't actually offer this to the shops. At least I don't hear it from the few shops that I have a little bit of relationship with. So unfortunately in Singapore, we don't get affordable boxes anymore for booster box. So for me, I would rather go with a lower quantity, but try to keep the cost very low. If you do not know how come I can get the average cost so low, is because I cracked open my case and I sold 2 boxes and I kept the other 4. And that is how I keep the cost low. Mega Evolution, it got even harder. Right now, everyone is spread very thin. So for myself, I only was able to get 2 box. And again, the cost is actually slightly higher than this. But I actually sold the 2 ETB I got allocated, and able to bring the cost sort of the booster box down a little bit. I got the 2 ETB for slightly above MSRP, and because the market price is quite a little above MSRP, so I was able to recoup some of the cost there. And that is what I would do to try to keep the average cost down. So if you're looking at this 135 USD, it doesn't seem very high, but if you compare to, for example, the prices we used to pay, like this Temporal Forces, we are buying them, you know, for 107 in sealed cases. Now at the moment it's just not possible anymore, but I'm happy with what I have. So I think this is the other thing. I think we have to be content with not being able to get our hands on so much product anymore, and that would also mean that the selling will have to slow down. When the buying is slowing down, that will also mean the selling have to slow down, because you do not need as much, you know, cash or capital to buy for the new set. So there's honestly not much reason for me to sell the older things. And is that a good thing? I'm not sure, because if you're looking here, this is in US dollar. Some of these boxes has been going up very quickly. Surging Spark recently has another leg up. It used to be about 250 USD, now it's close to 300. Paldean Fates have been shooting up. I haven't sold a single box. Paradox Reef is probably a surprise for many people. It's been going up, and Twilight Masquerade, as expected. Silver Tempest as well is going up pretty nicely. So these are the boxes that is getting a little bit old. The Paldean Fates, Paradox Reef, Silver Tempest, and at the moment I haven't sold any of this position that I have. If in the future, when the time comes, when it is all these boxes in the future is readily available again, and when I need capital, maybe I'll start drawing down on some of these boxes, sell 1 or 2, and use that fund to buy in for the new cases. But at the moment, if every 2 months I only get like 2 boxes, 4 boxes, I don't even need to sell my previous position, isn't it? So I'll just continue to accumulate and accumulate until I really need, you know, to sell my items, to sell some of these things down. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to keep them. Yep. The 151 booster bundle is another one. I started buying them in May in a slightly bigger quantity, and the last one I bought was in July. It's pretty much around the $70 range, and shortly after that, if you look at here, July, and you were still able to get them all the way up to maybe early August. After that, the supply started drying up, and it just shot up very quickly, almost doubled. Okay, maybe 50% higher than around that time. That's how I got it looks very nice, 46% gain in just a few months time, less than half a year. So these are the things that if you know where to look, and if you know that these are the things that's going to be out of print soon, the supply is drying up, then we better pick them up. But these are of course only applicable for things that is really popular, like 151 Destined Rival. It won't go wrong, honestly. Even if all the other things, Stellar Crown, maybe it will, you know, crash. Who knows? Temporal Forces, Paradox Reef, they are not that popular compared to like 151 Destined Rival. Silver Tempest has a Lugia in it, you know, the UPC. These things will, I don't think it will, honestly, will crash at all. You see the 2 UPC I got from almost a year ago, I still kept them, even though it looks very tempting to sell them. So yeah, that's actually the thing that I was thinking about in the last few weeks, and also the reason why I have not been making too much content for YouTube for a long time, because what is there to talk about? I do not want to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And honestly, investing, it's boring, but it is good for people who do not have the time to keep looking into these contents and keep trying to make deals and keep going to vending shows and, you know, keep trying to sell things and buy things. For people like us, middle-aged people with a family, we do not want to spend too much time on this. I think it's perfect. So for me, boring is good. For you, if you do not like boring, I suggest stay away from investing. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I wanted to share today. That's the main message. Many people want to try to come into investing and they thought it's, you know, all exciting, everything is shiny, but it's actually really boring. Now let me know if you agree with me, if you have something to add, if you have other topics you want me to talk about. If this video actually helps you, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Right, I'll see you in the next one.